In this unit, I'd like to talk with you about the shipping configuration in Shopware 6 and what it actually includes. First of all, of course, the shipping method itself, right? So we can set up things like standard shipping, express shipping, and so on. These shipping methods can then, for example, define specific delivery times. We can provide our customers with tracking URLs. We can work with availability rules that we define beforehand in the rule builder. Or we can also do things like offering free shipping under certain conditions, or yes, shipping methods that we restrict to different regions or countries. We really have a lot of options there. In addition, we can also define individual tax rates for different shipping methods or create price matrices. Yes, by performing complex calculations, for example, a surcharge based on a certain weight or quantity of a product. But let's now take a closer look at this in detail and go through some specific examples. In our example, we have a guitar store, and it could, for instance, have a shipping time of up to 5 weeks for handmade guitars. That would be quite realistic. To add a new delivery time and also display it to the customer during the checkout process, we can go to the settings and then to delivery times. I've already set up a few ranges here in the default settings, but we want to create a new one, specifically the 5 weeks. So I click here on Add Delivery Time. First, I enter a name here. For example, I can simply enter guitar here, and then next I would enter a unit. In our case, that would be weeks. Then we have a minimum and a maximum. I would enter 5 on both sides now, since we're assuming 5 weeks. After that, I click on Save to store everything. Next, we can go to our product and assign the delivery time we just saved to the respective product. To do this, I go to the product overview and could now select one here. I'll take our standard product now, the American Ultra Stratocaster, then scroll down a bit until we get to the delivery times, and then I can select the newly created guitar delivery time here. After that, I save everything, and then we can take a look at the result in the front end. Once in the front end, we can now see that the appropriate delivery time is already displayed in the checkout, with a time range showing the exact date. However, you can also see on the product overview page that it says Delivery Time Guitar here. This is where the name of the delivery time is displayed. This is a common mistake that tends to happen. That means the best thing to do now is simply rename the delivery time in the administration to 5 weeks, and then everything will be correct. Next, let's assume we want to add a new shipping method, for example, for a specific carrier. To do this, we can go to Settings and then to Shipping. Here we now find our, shipping methods that are already stored by default, and of course, we now need a new one for our carrier. Here I can now enter the information such as the name and the technical name of the shipping method. The technical name is the name used internally by Shopware 6, and the position of the respective shipping method. For example, I could say that it should always be in the first position, which would then, for instance, in the front end, when shipping is, so when the customer selects the shipping method, this one would be shown first. Directly below, I can define whether the shipping method itself should be active or not. That means I can, for example, deactivate it, edit it, and then reactivate it, and things like that. Directly below that, I can also add a description and the carrier's logo, or rather, yes, for the shipping method itself. And I also have the option to, add a standard delivery time. For example, I could say, hey, I could also select my newly created guitar shipping time here. Directly below that, I could also add a tracking URL, and I also have the option to assign tags to make it easier to find my shipping method later. I can also define the availability myself. For example, I could say here now, this shipping method is available to all customers. This shipping method is only available to customers from the USA, and so on. And of course, I always have the option to create a new rule using our rule builder. You can do very complex things with it and also map out your own case scenarios at that point and just try things out. Directly below that comes the tax calculation. So I can select tax rates. I can say either automatically use the tax rate, the one that fits the respective shopping cart or customer. Then I could say use the highest tax rate or use a fixed tax rate for this shipping method. Exactly. And we also have the option here to add price levels or a price matrix. Here I can simply go in and, for example, say, okay, this can also be applied to specific customer groups and so on. I could now just very simply say, we have all customers here who are affected by the price matrix, and then I could do something like from 1 to 10, from 11 to 20. Oops, I made a typo there. And now I could go ahead and set a price here. For example, I can say, okay, here the whole thing costs 5, there it costs 11, here it costs 22, and so on. And that's how I could piece it together here. Additionally, I could also add more price levels by simply going back here, selecting the respective rule for whom it should apply, and then I can save it afterward. And right, now we'll just go ahead and save the whole thing, and then it would already be done. At the end of this unit, it's definitely recommended to try out the entire configuration yourself once again. For example, you could check that for guitars weighing more than 5 kilos, shipping costs of 20 euros apply, and that it takes, let's say, 5 to 7 business days for the guitars to be delivered. You could also add new products like accessories that are a bit lighter, which would then, for example, only cost 10 euros in shipping and arrive within 2 to 3 business days. Or you could, for instance, set it so that if your order reaches a value of over 200 euros, the shipping costs are completely waived. Exactly, just give it a try. Click through it yourself and yeah, try to get a bit familiar with everything, and then we'll see each other in the next unit.